I got a brand new Bronco. So this is my old 2021 Ford Bronco Wildtrak. I've had it for about 79 weeks and I put 75,000 miles on it. And Ford, I was, again, just so grateful. They upgraded me to a brand new 2023 Ford Bronco Wildtrak, race red. And I'll go over that one in a later video. But so that Bronco is actually in Denver. I picked it up in Detroit and then drove to Moab, Utah, and flew home yesterday to take this one apart because I have to drive this one back to Denver to give it back to Ford. So if you guys have been watching my channel, you know that I have done all the modifications myself. It's been all over the country. So in this video, I'm going to show you me essentially, by the power of video, tearing it totally back to stock, and then just kind of show you guys what it looks like after 75,000 miles of me beating on it. This is not going to be a review video. It's just more of like, this is what it looks like after me thrashing on it for almost 2 years. And more importantly, just taking the Bronco apart and back to stock. So I'm only home for 3 days to make this happen. So just so you guys know, I'm not going to put a ton of effort into the creativity and editing of this video, just because I literally have 2 days to do this and then drive back to Denver. So without further ado, let's jump into taking this thing apart. All right, so before I get into this, I'm just gonna sort of walk around it. No filters, no editing, just kind of show you the overall raw condition of this truck after, like I said, 75,000 miles of me just beating on it. These are aftermarket fiberglass fenders from Advanced Fiberglass Concepts. They've been on there for about a year or so, and they've actually held it really, really well. These are CBI off-road rock sliders, and I live close to the beach down here, so there is some surface rust on these. So I'll probably repurpose those on the new Bronco. I might have them sandblasted and repowder coated. Bugs and rock chips on the painted mirror caps. So the 23 Bronco Wildtrak does not have these. These are a textured plastic, kind of like this, so that'll actually be a little nicer for that. The 23 Wildtrak does not have painted handles. I actually am a fan of the painted handles, so I'm kind of bummed that the new one didn't have that, but it is what it is. You can see this panel here just got really mangled up from rock chips. So like I said, I'm gonna have these repainted, and I'm gonna probably put some paint protection film on that on the next round. But back fender looks pretty good. Back bumper here, RTR Vehicles, that is their rear bumper. I will not be using that on the next Bronco. I have got some other stuff that's going to be going on it. I'm trying to keep the next Bronco super lightweight. That bumper's pretty heavy, so I'm going to go with a little bit lighter bumper. RTR rear spare tire carrier. I will be reusing this for sure. That is, this is an amazing setup there. RTR wheels, Nitto 35-inch trail grappler tires. I am going back with a Nitto tire on the new Bronco. It will not be a trail though. It's gonna be a Recon, a lot lighter tire. Same thing on the wheels. I'm gonna do a forged B-lock on the new one. So, and I'll go over kind of the whys. I'm switching some stuff up on the new build, but just so you guys can get a little bit more of an update. Kind of circling around the back. Same thing, everything looks good on the fenders. Overall, the condition of this truck is pretty solid, to be honest. No real, I guess, paint flaws or anything that happened over the course of 2 years of me being all over the country. Up top on the hood, the graphic did start to peel off. I washed it one day, and I don't obviously hammer down on the decal, just I sprayed it and it just blew off this corner of the sticker. So that might be something to look out for. Again, I'm in South Texas, it's super hot. And obviously the hood is something that gets baked pretty aggressively no matter where you live. So, that sticker probably just is getting brittle. Obviously I've been driving, so there's a little bit of bugs on it. But overall, the grill and the front end is something that usually gets a lot of abuse. And it looks pretty good, to be honest with you. Little swirls in the paint, truthfully, the last year I haven't been super, I don't know. Not that I'm not mindful, but keeping it extremely detailed hasn't been a priority just because I've been so busy and all over the place. Front bumper, this was the CBI off-road fabrication front bumper. Factor 55 Ultra Hook, worn Xeon S 10,000 pound winch. And you can see you guys have been watching my content, you know I've been thrashing on this Bronco. So lots of abuse in the front bumper, on the front fare lead. I think I've stood the Bronco up on this a couple times and just sort of drove through it. I will not be reutilizing this bumper. However, I really love this concept and this style. If you watch the installation of that bumper only weighs a half a pound more than the factory modular steel bumper, which is a reason why I chose it, so that I didn't add any weight besides the actual winch. This one, I had all Rigid Industries lights on it, so an SA fog amber, and then a driving and a spot down low in the bumper. And I've got a set of spots here on the top, amber backlit. And if you remember, there was 5 rigid adapts up in the roof, which are right there. So I already took those off. But that is the outside. Let me open the hood and kind of show you guys the engine compartment. Again, I have the inside super dirty. We'll go over that in a minute too. So there you go, engine compartment, 75,000 miles. Overall, it looks pretty dang good. Everything under here is totally stock with the exception of a Roush airbox. That will be going on the new Bronco. Roush is sending me a brand new filter to switch in there. That filter's a lifetime filter, but it'd be right to have 2 filters for the new one. So that way when I'm cleaning one, I have one just pop in. Or if I'm out in the desert, I can take an extra with me. But everything under here, like I said, is stock. The only thing that is modified is, of course, the power going to the winch and then to my red arc system. So that's the outside of the Bronco. And then once I get it all torn apart, I will bring it over here and put it on the lift. I would like to show you guys the underneath of it as well. Obviously, if you guys have been watching my stuff, you know I've been beating on it really, really hard, like I've said several times in this video. So I would like to show you some of the things that have taken a lot of abuse underneath. It is all factory skid plates underneath too, so I can kind of show you what those look like. Do I think you need aftermarket ones? I do not. Like I said, I've done anything and everything with this and had no issues with things getting damaged. But things like the lower control arm mounts in the back, those have taken a lot of abuse. The cross members underneath the transmission, those have taken a lot of abuse. So I'd like to show you, what those things look like after 75,000 miles. But anyway, okay, enough talking. I'm gonna go ahead and start tearing this thing apart. So enjoy a time lapse of me taking it all back to stock. All right, my GoPro's died and I'm in a crunch for time, so I'm not really worried about charging them back up. So I'm just gonna walk you guys through what I'm doing. So grill's off, bumpers off, winches off, radiator core support covers off, fender door, liner. Here's the Bronco, front valence, wheels and tires are off. The front is totally stripped, fenders are off, liners are off, bumpers off. I just gotta pull some wiring from where I had all my lights. More wiring I gotta pull out, and then just pulled the top off the back so I can pull the rear fenders. I've got to pull my rear seat delete that I built out. This has got my full red arc power management system in there, air compressor. That's all got to come out. And then I got to pull these off the doors, pull the rock sliders, pull the rear bumper, put the factory floor back in it, take off my tailgate table, and then start reassembling with all of the original parts. But I just wanted to give you guys an update on where it stands so far. I do gotta give a shout out to Ben Pack, because just having the lift is making this so much faster than it would have been on the ground. So yeah, so far so good. It's going pretty smooth. Excited to keep turning it apart. I figured I would take this opportunity to show you guys what the underside of the Bronco looks like after I've had it. I have used and abused this thing. I've had a lot of fun with it. I've tried it, I've tested it. I've honestly pushed it to its limits and then some. All right, how I'm gonna go over this is I'm just gonna show you guys the things that I noticed along the way. You know, right off the bat, right here, the lower control arm mounts, you know, that are, you know, welded to the frame, they took a ton of abuse. You can see that whole thing is just kind of warped and bent and kind of molded over. You know, it just looks like it's melted, honestly, but you know, that's just from being smashed against rocks over and over and over and over again. Now, I did notice on my 23, the new one, this bracket is substantially reinforced. The other side is probably the same. Nowhere near as bad as the driver's side, but definitely you can see it's been beat up pretty good. The lower control arms, you know, did take some abuse. Those weren't, in my opinion, in a bad spot. These do hang kind of low, so you guys can have an idea. This one isn't as bad because I think the fuel tank skid plate takes some of the abuse and offsets that, because the fuel tank does sit low, whereas that side doesn't have anything at the frame rail. But, you know, that is the factory gas tank skid. Do I think you need aftermarket? Absolutely not. I think the factory fuel tank skid that comes with these things is plenty adequate. I mean, I have literally pivoted on the gas tank several times on rocks, but you can see, you know, where it just took all kinds of abuse there all the way back. Pretty good little hit right here. It is making contact with the gas tank, you know, so in the future that could be a potential wear spot right here, so that would be something to keep an eye on if I had this Bronco longer. The lower shock mounts, you know, same thing. They did take some abuse. That's bent here. Other side, looks like, yep, same thing. Also bent. Did it affect the performance of this? Absolutely not. Did it bend it? You know, it's still where it needs to be at. Same thing here, lower control arm mounts. You know, obviously took some abuse. You can kind of see it's rolled up right there. And then I bet the other side's the same way. Oh, no, it's not actually. So let's see what else we got here. Looks like a little seepage on the rear diff. Plug, the pan, or the, not pan, the cover is fine, but looks like the plug is seeping a little bit. I did have the differentials flushed. That could just be residue from that. I had them flushed at, I think, 60,000 miles. I towed a lot of trailers, so I just had them flush differentials and transfer case at 60,000 miles. So brake pads, again, 75,000 miles. I did have brakes put on it at 50,000. Again, towing trailers. I just wanted to be sure everything was good, so they swapped them out at 50,000 miles. Let's see, let's make our way to the front here. So, transfer case skid plate. Not too bad, not too bad. It doesn't look bent. It looks like some light scratches, nothing too significant. These though, if you got a 2.7, you guys know what I'm talking about. The 2.7 has the transmission cross member, these braces that come across the front, they hang low. So I never had a skid here. All I had was the factory fuel tank transfer case and then the front main oil pan skid, but we'll get to that in a second. But these, you know, definitely took some abuse. Heavy trauma, we'll say. On the other side, pretty beat up, really heavy. And the only way to replace these is the whole transmission cross member is to be replaced, but it doesn't need to be. They're just bent. So if you want to maybe add a skid plate to cover those, or you know, maybe fill in the gap between the main engine cross member to that, to kind of keep that from taking such abuse, that might be something I will take advantage of or do on the next one to prevent these from getting hung up so much and just more of a slide off. But overall, not too bad. Okay, let's come up to the front, very front of the Bronco. Front bash plate, again, factory front bash plate. This thing did take heavy hits over and over and over again. I don't know what they made this out of, but it is a very durable material, some sort of steel with some additive in it because it's fairly lightweight. And I I mean, I've definitely hit this quite a bit. And you know, it's a little warped, but overall not terrible. But you can see, yeah, all the way across, it's just pretty beat up, even up in the side of it here. And then kind of coming down, so lower control arm mounts, they did take a little bit of contact, not too bad. You know, that's a good thing about this factory skid plate or the front bash plate, is it would sort of roll off of this and miss these. So if you had a more exposed front area here without this slide, you might hit these a little more frequently, so keep an eye on that. Same thing on the other side. Looks like this side did get hit a little bit more aggressively than the passenger side, but same thing, sliding off this helps save that a little bit. Lower control arms, I know a lot of guys run lower control arm skid plates. Do I think it's necessary? Absolutely not. I think it's just a waste of weight and bulk. I mean, the factory, you know, strut bolts never even made contact either side. So, I mean, look at that. A lot of guys are like, oh, you're gonna break those off. No, they didn't get hit at all. Looks like some light scratches here, nothing really major. Same thing, couple light scratches here on this lower control arm, but overall the arms didn't make contact. I think a lot of the exposure here and there depends on driver and line choices. So if you're picking good lines and putting tire over rock, you really shouldn't hit none of this stuff. This is gonna be more the area that's exposed. Same thing, picking a bad line or just high centering it. And then the main skid here, you know, obviously you can see lots of rash. It is a little bent, not too crazy though. But again, factory skid plates, in my opinion, are definitely plenty adequate. I don't think you need to add 1/4 inch steel skid underneath there. I think that adds a ton of extra weight that's just totally stupid and unnecessary. Aluminum skids, if you don't have skids, totally something to maybe consider. But if you have factory skid plates, you don't need to add anything. Maybe just add one here in the center, and that would be all I would suggest. But even the front diff here, you know, that's all fine. It looks like it may have got bumped a little bit, not too bad though, but you know, totally dry. There's no seepage on the front diff. A lot of guys asked if I had anything aftermarket in the suspension and steering. Totally stock. Everything is all original. Factory 2021 Wildtrak Bronco steering rack. This is not the Raptor rack or the Haas 3.0 rack. This is the original, just the regular dainty little steering. Never had a failure, never blew a tie rod, inner or outer. So yeah. So that's kind of looking at the underside of the Bronco. Never had any oil change leakage or oil seepage. You know, we'll get up under the engine bay there, let you guys kind of look at that. Again, 74.5 is what's on this truck, 74.6. I gotta drive it to Denver, so it'll have 76.5 when I turn it over. But, you know, transmission mount, that's all fine. Transfer case, again, there you go. 70, you know, no, there's nothing. Drive lines are all nice and tight still. There's nothing crazy there. Like I said, guys, unbiased, even though I'm an ambassador for this brand, I cannot, man, this thing has just been one hell of a truck. I have beat on this thing hard. If you watch my content, you guys know that I don't mess around with it. And, so, you know, pretty dirty up inside there behind the fenders, but again, to be expected. Yeah. All right, well, I know this is a very raw video. I hope you guys are enjoying more of just the information behind it. I just wanted to give you guys a first-hand point of view on the Bronco and what it looks like after I had it for, you know, right at 2 years and, you know, getting up there close to that 100K mark. Not a review, just showing you guys what 2 years of super abusive use looks like. That way you guys, you know, maybe feel a little bit more confident in your purchase, or if you're considering buying a Bronco, it's just kind of give you guys a little bit more of a what you can expect. So, all right, I'm gonna finish tearing this thing apart And then I will show you what it looks like once I get it all back to stock, which is gonna be very interesting. Alrighty, got the Bronco back under its stock original shoes. Working on the interior, I already pulled out the Red Arc, Red Vision, my power management, system here that was on the dash here in the corner. Working on taking out my seat delete. I built this seat delete almost 2 years ago when I first got the Bronco. There was not any seat deletes on the market when I did it. So inside this box is my Red Arc's power management system. I've got a 135 amp lithium battery in here and then an air compressor as well. Got the goose gear rear floor plate out, the goose gear tailgate out. They are sitting over here, tailgate, rear floor. And then I will, once I get all of that out, there's a lot of wiring in there. So once I get that out, I'll move to the dash and take out the Expedition Essentials dash mount. Pretty wild to see it. Looks like a big go-kart. Kind of crazy. But yeah, making progress. Day 2 of putting the Bronco back together. Got front and rear fenders back on. Got the front bumper back on. I got the sensors all in the bumper the way they're supposed to be. What else did I do today? Changed the oil, did an air filter. And the only thing I have left to do today is, or to finish rather, is mount the fender liners, which is not too big of a deal, and install the rear bumper, the factory rear bumper. And then over here in the back, I've got to take off the RTR spare tire carrier. That is the only thing I haven't taken off yet. I forgot to do that yesterday. So it is almost back together. It's starting to look like a truck again. I do got to get my ADV fiberglass fenders cracked when I pulled them off. Partially my doing. I'm just in a rush. So I just yanked them off the door. So got to get that off, some trim remover, and then run it through a car wash, get it all nice and shined up. Snap that back into place. Yeah, gonna be ready to rock. Okay, finishing off at 76,039 miles on OG Wildtrak. 1, 2. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last time you'll see the original OG Wildtrak Bronco. Just made it to Denver. Here's the new one. There's the old one. About to make the switcheroo. Crazy.